Top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Happy Tuesday, beautiful people. Dawn, what's good? Sis Lavon, blessings, blessings. All right, y'all. It is Tuesday, March the 28th, 2023, day 2 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1385. Today, we're actually finishing up the book of Apollo, the last 2 chapters, which is chapter 14 and 15, which begins on page 108 and goes all the way to page 109. And then when we get done there, we will go over to the Holy Megillah, also known as the Secret Nazarite Scroll. And we're going to start on page 37, which is chapter 7. Yep, chapter 7. And we're just going to go on from there. We may have time to read the next chapter, or we'll see. We may or may not, once we get done with all the footnotes and stuff. All right, so Father, we thank you that you are unlimited intelligence. Iman shalom, Audrey, shalom, shalom. Thank you, Dawn. Just me, blessings. Hannah, peace, love, and light. Nazarene, the scene, grand rising, creative gang, family members, and everybody else here already hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you. All right, y'all, so let's get rocking and rolling. Look, I'm going to start adding, Jeremiah told me to do this a while ago. I'm going to start adding some timestamps to the video, so like when y'all come back, if y'all want to come back and watch the replay, or maybe somebody else new here is probably led here by some short or reel that I did on some other social media, they'll be able to look at the timestamps and jump right to it. So it'll be the beginning, like while we're reading Owaspy and the Megillah, it'll be a timestamp to listen to Owaspy. Then it'll also be a timestamp if you want to jump right to the Nazarite vow, the Holy Megillah, which is the Secret Nazarite Scroll. But not just those two, it'll be different points within it. So now that I've got I'm playing with some new technology that's going to allow me to do this. It's going to save me some time. I think this is going to be good. Jamia, hey girl, hey. So bear with me as I make my little adjustments and stuff. And now I'll be doing it for some of the older videos. Once I get the hang of everything here, I'll just start adding it to the new videos that we do every day. And as I get extra time, I'll go back and do maybe I'll do one video a day, just kind of update it with the timestamps and all that good stuff. All right, y'all. So let's get going. Chapter 14 in the book of Owaspy, the Owaspy, book of Apollo, son of Jehovah, chapter 14. Jehovah spake from the light of the throne, saying, hear the words of your Creator, O ye counselors of heaven. They spin and weave and make clothes. They learn in the places of learning. Neither do I condemn them. But my physicians are tired. My nurses are tired. My teachers are tired. Be wise, O my sons and daughters. Who hath reformed a beggar by giving to him? Oh, I remember this part. Who hath reformed a beggar by giving to him? What physician preventeth sickness by healing? They bring forth in deformity on the earth, and ye must cure them in heaven. They squat on their hunches on earth, and they squat the same way in heaven, and ye must cure them. Go ye to the root of the matter, O my beloved. Send ye down to the kingdoms of my lords, and say to them, thus saith Jehovah, follow them, O my lords, double the number of Ashars, double the Lewis. Remember, the Lewis is the master of generations. They're like a guardian angel, but their job is a little bit higher. They literally watch over and develop generations of people who can actually hear the voice of Creator. Through the marriages, they help orchestrate the marriages and the families who would come together to develop said children, and so on and so forth. And then they watch over them children and orchestrate it so they can meet certain people, so they can have children and watch them develop them children. The same process until they become so sensitive to where they can directly talk to Creator. But we'll get into that. It's a whole section about the Lewis. Verse 5, I read again. Go ye to the root of the matter, O my beloved. Send ye down to the kingdoms of my lords, and say to them, Thus saith Jehovah, follow them, O my lords. Double the number of Ashars, double the Lewis. Leave no young man alone. Leave no young woman alone. Keep over them day and night. Give them visions and dreams of Apollo. For I am concerted in heaven and on earth to remold the forms of the earthborn. Jehovah said, Hear your creator, O Gal. Make 7 more plateaus for the second resurrection. Out of the idolatry of my son Apollo will I beautify the inhabitants of the earth, and the cast and mold of men and women shall become a great power. Jealousies will overspread the earth. Jealousies will rise in the first resurrection. Make 7 more plateaus in the second resurrection, and sort the Esians in the hour of birth. Hold on, let me go back. Didn't we yesterday we talk about in the Megillah about the 7 different heavens within each heaven in the in the first resurrection, second resurrection, and the 7? I'm almost certain we did. This now just stuck out to me here. Hold on, let me go back. It's like the different, thank you. I thought so, Lavon. It's like going to the different schools. So you got elementary school, but within elementary school, there are 5 different levels, right? Possibly 6 if your elementary school has pre-K in there, right? And then you go to intermediate or middle school, right? And that one has 2 to 3 levels in it, right? 7th, 8th, 9th, or actually, no, I'm sorry. It could be 6th, 7th, and 8th, because it's kindergarten or pre-K all the way up to 5th grade. And then you have 6th, 7th, and 8th for intermediate or middle school. And then you have high school, which is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But here in Virginia, they break up the elementary school even further. Like the last neighborhood we stayed in, they had 2 elementary schools, but the primary elementary school was, they actually had pre-K. They had pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade. First and second grade. Did it go up to second grade? And then I think it went up to second grade. And then the regular, I forget what they called the next one. The next elementary school was 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right? And I thought I had never seen that till we moved and lived over in that area. And after I seen it, I started recognizing Virginia, well, at least this area, it has a lot of them that way. And I think it's kind of smart too, because you have children as they begin to be aware of other things. It's about like right that age, like 2nd and 3rd grade, especially if they're grouped with other children and coming from different backgrounds. That's kind of like the age where they start being aware of certain things, right? So you can kind of keep the babies like it's like play school all day long, preschool all day long, pre-K, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. Like it's the same group of kids, right? But it's the same way with the heavens. And both of these books say that. Okay. Just in case you were wondering, if you can't see the live chat, hold on. Just in case you were wondering, you can't see the live chat if we're playing for about 12 hours after original live YouTube. I Googled it. Oh, you know what? I guess when I go back to look at some of my stuff, I had never realized that. But thank you. Now I know. Shayla, hey cousin, great rising, Betswabu, global purpose, grand rising, Zachary, Yahoo, shalom, shalom. And everybody else here that came in hanging out in the background. All right, y'all. So let's get back to this. Let me see. We're in chapter 14, page 108 in the WASP. Let me go back. Let me just go back to verse 5. Go ye to the root of the matter, O my beloved. Send ye down to the kingdoms of my lords, and say to them, Thus saith Jehovah, follow them, O my lords. Double the number of Ashars, double the Lewis. Leave no young man alone, leave no young woman alone. Keep over them day and night. Give them visions and dreams of Apollo. For I am concerted in heaven and on earth to remold the forms of the earthborn. Jehovah said, Hear your creator, O Gal. Make 7 more plateaus for the second resurrection. Out of the idolatry of my son, Apollo, will I beautify the inhabitants of the earth, and the cast and mold of men and women of earth shall become a great power. Hold on, I didn't add a whole word in here. Let me read that again. And the cast and mold of men and women shall become a great power. Jealousies will overspread the earth. Jealousies will rise in the first resurrection. Make 7 more plateaus in the second resurrection. Just like we was just saying, they was talking about this in Megillah yesterday, the different levels within the heavens. Make 7 more plateaus in the second resurrection and sort the Esians in the hour of birth. God and the council perceived, and so God appointed workmen and fulfilled the commandments of Jehovah. And he established 700 tributary kingdoms of the second resurrection belonging to Gal. These sub-kingdoms were provided with sub-gods, second in rank below the lords, of whom there were 10,000 who had direct supervision over mortals, and the lords had every one a sufficiency of guardian angels, Ashars and Lewis, masters of generations, so that they could direct any required number to such mortals as they choose. The lords mostly established their kingdoms in the temples where mortals came to worship, and by inspiration they established spirit chambers near the altars where the prophets sat to learn the decrees of the Lord. Hither the Lewis came to receive their appointments over mortals for the purpose of bringing about marriages acceptable before Jehovah. The affairs of the sub-gods were, however, holy with matters in heaven, save when commanded by the Lord for special work. And it came to pass that mortals and the affairs of mortals were directed and governed by the decrees of lower heavens, and these again by the Etherian heavens, which were of Jehovah direct. So Jehovah changed the forms of the earthborn, but they became worshipers of Apollo, accrediting to one another Jehovah's perfection in them according to the form and figure of the flesh. And because of the idolatry of the women for Apollo, their children were born of good flesh and shapely, so that in 400 years the hair on their heads grew long and straight, and men began to have beards. Neither considered any young man any virtue in any young woman so important as her form, nor did the young women value any virtue in man so great as a well molded form. And when the mortals died and their spirits entered the first resurrection, half the labor of the Asaphs, the receiving angels, was accomplished. So God changed the Esian period to 3 years, save for the heirs of cousins and uncles and aunts, which was left at 5 years. Now, earlier this morning when I was up, it's interesting because I saw this video that Cosmon had reposted. It was a black dude, and first the video started off with this black dude, and I forget his name. First time I ever seen him. Black dude and another black dude. He was really light skinned. He'd asked a question. I forget the question. I just remember the girl that came on was a white girl that had came on, and she started asking some questions. And the text over the video, over the meme or whatever, it said that and I'm gonna sum it up. I'm gonna see if I can play it for y'all real quick, because all of these questions that she asked, it said I'm not an atheist, but what she's saying is true, something like that. And so I listened to it. I'm like, yo, those are all the questions we start asking when we begin to wake up, right? But what was disheartening was, I'm like, man, we got such a long way to go with helping other people wake up to see that all of this religion and stuff and all of this misdirected worship and worship understood the wrong way has not come from Creator, what people perceive to be Creator, right? Which they call all different types of names depending on which religious sect they come from. But because I come from Christianity, they attribute all of this to God, them understanding God as being Creator, but us understanding God as someone not being Creator, just the one who's in charge here over this realm, right? That's what we learned through Owaski. And Megillah kind of, it they complement one another with all these things as they talk about the different deities and all of this stuff, and they don't realize that things that they were led to believe, even about this the God of the Bible, and why were you so mad, and why would you kill children, and why would you let this happen, talking about real life now, why do you sit back and say nothing? I'm like, yo, she asked some questions all of us ask when we start waking up and paying attention. Let me see if I can play it. Look, I'm trying to get a little fancy, like other people be doing when they bring in other videos. I gotta show you. Hold on, let me see. I think I gotta bring up my Facebook page. Let me show you, because this was good. Hold on. I think he posted it inside the. Did he post it inside the group? I might just have to go to his page. Hold on, y'all. Nope, I don't think it was inside the group. I think he just posted, and I was oh, I gotta go to my personal page. Let's see. Personal page. Hold on, y'all. I want to show y'all this. Y'all probably seen it, but just in case y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, now let me search for Cosmon. There we go. Boom. Cosmonian. Oh man. I know I'm that far down. Hold on, y'all. Did he remove it? Hold on. Let me go to my phone. Hold on, y'all. I really want to show y'all this today. Hold up. Okay. Cosmo. Let's see where he posted it at. Okay, so he definitely must have posted it in a group. I didn't see it on the page. Hold on. Did he take it down? Dang. Because I don't see it now. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Man, okay. I don't see it. He may have taken it down. All right. Well, if I find it, I'll go back and see. Let me just scroll real quick. If I go back and find it, I'll share it. I'll reshare it like in the group and in the community section where you can see what I was talking about. But she was asking all the kind of questions we start waking up, like why. But then down in the comment section, like I said, it gets disheartening because the majority of the people down in the comment section, clearly it was with some of the hashtags, it hit the algorithms, the audience of Christians, right? And so of course they said things like she has no spirit in her. I'm just like, I'm like, how could you say that with somebody that's actually just asking questions, doing their due diligence, right? Because if you start questioning what you have been taught to be true, and then it's a problem. Like they teach you to react this way. And it was, last night. He posted last night. Yeah, I don't see it. He had to remove it, or I'm just not scrolling enough, and it's been like a whole bunch of posts and it's not coming up. Man, I wish I started to save it in my what you call it, and I was like, it'll be here, but it's not. But it's probably there. I'm just not seeing it. But the comments down in that section under that video, they was just saying all kinds of stuff, and a couple people, of course, condemned her to hell because how dare you question a creator? I mean, they didn't say creator. How dare you question God and stuff? And like, I'm just like, wow. And it's just a shock every time. Like, it's not a shock, but being out of that for a little while and that way of thinking, and when you come back to it, and you just like, man, people are still believing this, and it just kind of it shook me a little bit down deep in my shana. And I'm like, man, We got so much work to do to wake people up. Like, do they even realize that? And then I thought about what I was thinking. I was like, no, they don't realize, because they're taught, don't read anything else except for the Bible and just look up because Christ is coming. I'm like, but you had a couple people in there that you can tell that they was waking up just a little bit. Yeah, their thinking is truly limited. They were saying stuff like we be saying stuff, and they were like super nice. Like, well, have you considered what she was saying? How was that so wrong? And they just like swarmed in on the people that was just like, hey, well, did you listen to what she was saying? Like, have you not ever thought about this? And they were just like crucifying all the people that was just like, just pay attention. Like, but they do this. Like, they were not having it. I'm just like, sheesh. I really want to share that with you. I'm gonna go back and find it. All right, y'all. So let's read this. But that's what this reminded me of here when I read what verse was that? It was actually over here. It reminded me, where is it at? Verse 13. When they became worshipers of Apollo, that's what triggered the thought, because I thought about the question she was asking about worship, and why people worship the way they do and everything. And you look, now you could tell that she probably used to have been a Christian based on the questions she was asking, right? I'm like, you cannot fault her for those questions. Like, those are legit questions that everybody should be asking when they sitting under the spell binding teachings of their pastor, teacher, preacher, apostle, evangelist, whoever, right? Like, you should be asking these questions. Like, what class is she sitting? I want to go sit over there with her. Y'all exiling her, but I'm going with her. All right, I'm gonna share it with y'all though. Okay. Chapter 15 is the last chapter of Book of Apollo, and it's very short. It's 8 verses. And it's page 109. So perfect was the way of heaven that at the end of 400 years, God and his lords and his sub-gods had ready for the third resurrection of grade 88, 8,500,000,000,000 souls for Jehovah's harvest. So Apollo sent Adova, division, goddess of wrath, and Coke, in Ethera, down to the lower heaven to deliver God and his host. And remember, every time they have a graduation, the gods change as well, because the gods graduate with the new set of brides and bridegrooms, right? So there are actually multiple gods who will graduate with that particular class of brides and bridegrooms. And the graduations, we ain't got to that yet. Maybe I think we did read over it once or twice, that the graduations happen every 200, 400, 500, 600, and 1,000 year periods. But within those, now some gods who rule may rule a little bit longer than others. Some may only rule for like the 200 years, but they're still here. They just kind of within the cycle working, while new God sits on the throne to help with the raising up of us, who will one day also become gods and goddess here on these lower levels on the earth and within the 3 heavens above the earth. But once their cycle, I believe it's 3,600 years, 33 to 3,600 years, when that complete cycle is done, and the next and actually within the bigger cycle, there are multiple graduations that happen. But as they graduate out into Ethera, right? When they graduate out into Ethera, meaning earth, all of its levels above and below, right? First, second, and third, all the gods and the current God on the throne will graduate, and they go into Ethera, right? So even when you're cleaning up the hells, like if you were a false god or a false lord and you found yourself in hell, meaning you turned away from the Creator's light and love, and you walking in ways that's totally against love and caring for one another, everybody that's under you, that follows you, that worships you as God, you can't go any higher until all of those who were under your teaching, under your care, come up to the highest level that you are, and then you all will move up together, right? So it's good. Ema said Dan Calloway did an excellent teaching on the English language yesterday. I didn't catch it. I get to catch some of his stuff from time to time. Yes, Elijah, we are all brothers and sisters of every walk of life, and people do be forgetting that, right? It's because of all of the shenanigans and how they've got us separated from one another due to race, color, creed, religion, all of this stuff to keep us divided. But it's not Creator. But listen, why does Creator allow it? Look, we was kind of reading about that yesterday as well, the last couple days. Remember, as they were creating this, they were saying there will be some who don't stay on the path of the law of life, right? And it's going to be tears, but we have to stay outside of the mother ovum, pretty much hold the line outside of mother ovum, because we've given everybody free choice, free will. They have to choose. It's a part of the growth process here with inside the mother ovum on earth and her heavens, right? But the teachers, when they go astray or they don't fall in line, they don't teach you that. Because if we were taught that from the very beginning, imagine how much faster we would accelerate and grow spiritually as well as physically. And some of these things, the religious factions and all this stuff, it wouldn't disrupt our spirit nor our growth. But we will understand those things. But OSB teaches you about the process of all of that and why it happens as worlds develop from infancy to maturity down to when it goes out and it's no more, right? So, but all of these you should read together, like Owaspi, Megillah, the Bible, because the Bible has a good, you can see a lot of good shenanigans with the false gods and lords in there. And that's why people in Christianity, they all tripped up because they're not allowed to read anything else, but they're reading all the stuff with the shenanigans of the false gods and the false lords. And now they got to attribute somebody got to be God here, but they only got to choose from the shenaniganizers in the Bible. Like they haven't even met Creator yet. They haven't even met true Creator. Now, granted, some of them, because of their heart and their true love and seeking after the Father, they do hear from Him. They really do. They just still kind of caught up in the shenanigans until they find their way out. But those who are really truly searching for the Father and want to live lives of light and love, like truly, as well, while they're dealing with their own personal character flaws and not just acting religious and because that can get kind of disgusting over there, how they really act towards others who are not just like them, meaning not Christians, right? And it's a process as they begin to break out of that and wake up and realize other people are humans too, even if they don't believe just like you, and they're worthy of respect. It's we all came through that process, right? Blessed be the most holy for that. Yes and amen. Thank you. But we got to give them room to grow too, right? All right. Chapter 15. So perfect was the way of heaven that at the end of the 400 years, God and his lords and his sub gods had ready for the third resurrection of grade 88, 8,500,000,000,000 souls for Jehovah's harvest. So Apollo sent Adova, division goddess of wrath, and Coke and Ethera down to the lower heaven to deliver God and his hosts. And they were thus raised up to Ethera in a sea of fire and made one with Jehovah. In like manner was the next government in the lower heaven and on the earth, and the next deliverance in Dan was 10,000 million souls of grade 65. Oh, they remember they getting lower and lower in ranking. He just graduated a class that were at 88. This next one was at 65. Sheesh. In like manner was the next administration in the lower heaven and on earth, and the deliverance was 10,000 million, grade 50. And we know that is the lowest grade you can be in order to graduate out of earth and her heavens into Ethera. You cannot be lower than, I'm sorry, it's 51. You have to at least be 51, right? You have to be a little bit more giving to others than of yourself. You have to, the giving part has to outbalance your selfishness part. If you're grade 50, you're even balanced, half selfish, half given, right? You got to be at least 1 point over in the giving side in order to graduate out of here. So in your house, it is important what we teach the children, because you will have to clean. You sure will. Say it again, just me. I'm going to read it again. So in your house, it is important that we teach the children, because you will have to go clean that up after death if they don't repent from the lies you may have taught them, right? A lot of people think when you die here, boom, you're in the presence of the Father. No, my G, especially if you got a bunch of ragamuffin churn that you done left here for us still in the flesh to deal with, you ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, you going to remedial too. It may not be hell that the church describes, but a lot of y'all parents are still hanging around here when y'all still got y'all lives all in the mess because they're responsible for you, right? All the way through, all the way, like all of us, our parents, multiple generations before us and after us, we'll all be graduating together in some time way few hundred years down the road. Right? But we'll see one another within the graduating class in Ethereum if y'all don't backslide and become false gods and lords as you start raising up. I hope everybody stay on the path of light. You know, I want to see y'all. All right, listen. In like manner was the next government in the lower heaven and on the earth, and the next deliverance in Dan was 10,000 million souls of grade 65. In like manner was the next administration in the lower heaven and on the earth, and the deliverance was 10,000 million of grade 50. In like manner was the next administration on the earth and in the lower heaven, and the deliverance was 10,000 million of grade 38. So Apollo commanded these to be delivered to the Aegean fields of Oath and Sanach and Orient, for they were unsuited for Ethera. Like if you're under grade 51, you are unsuited for Ethera, right? Because by the time you get to Ethera, all those that make it to that level, they've already worked out the character flaws from their flesh, from their spirit, and they're nothing but pure radiating light, where they only add to the atmosphere and add to creation, right? That's the whole reason for ancestors and why they may want to, right. That's the whole reason for ancestors and why they may want to work with us. They could be trying to raise the family. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I really do. Right. Now, some of y'all got some ancestors that's still on some shenanigans. That I do know too. Right. But you got to be careful, which is why you still have to get it together here. You can't just be like, you know, I get it together when I pass on into eternity. No, my G, because it's gonna be harder for you. Now you would have been lost your flesh that can ground your spirit while it learns certain things, right? That's why our spirit is attached to a body for a period of time, because without that, it's hard for the spirit to grasp certain principles and understand certain things without the body, right? It's a science lab, right? We're supposed to be testing, proving, developing our test subject as our spirit grows in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, right? And this is just like this is graded. Like this is your paper. When it's time to grade your paper, all right, let's see what you did. And listen, the Seeing Gospel of Peace say the same thing, right? You are graded. Your body is looked at. That is your test. You've been here. How long did you get to stay? 120 years. Let's see. Let's bring the body up in here. All right. Let's see what it look like. Oh, you shining bright like a diamond. It didn't even disintegrate in the dirt. Oh, you passed. You done figured out something, right? You bring back, you know what? We couldn't find the body. Bones and everything disintegrated. We're gonna need to roll the clips on what they look like when they when they passed away. Look, I'm joking. But seriously, when you stand before the creator, when you talk to him, your body is looked at. Like seriously, what did you do with it? Did you wear it out? I mean, was it overweight? Like all of these things. I see you didn't get that under control. And you still have to learn these same principles, right? It may be hard, especially if we gotten out of control here with it. It's hard to bring the flesh, this sentient flesh into compliance, right? It want to fight back. It literally has a mind of its own and attached to your spirit. That's why you got a constant war going on inside of you, right? Makes me think about Black Panther, the movie. Look, all right, okay. Verse 5, I read again. In like manner was the next administration on the earth and in the lower heaven, and the deliverance was 10,000 million of grade 38. So Apollo commanded in Sanach and Orient. Hold on. So Apollo commanded these to be delivered in the Aegean fields of Oath and Sanak and Orant, for they were unsuited for Ethera. Right? Not that y'all ain't gonna get to go ever, but it's still some things we need to get y'all sharp on so we can get your grade up above 51 so you can go. Nobody under 51 can graduate to Ethera, right? They're not born again, right? They're not born again coming through the flesh back here. That doesn't happen. They misunderstand what born again truly is. But they're still in the heavens, but they just go to another area where they're kind of just like, you just got remedial teachers, right? Tutors and stuff. And you go through these different things. So we learn all about that here. Verse 6, in like manner was the next administration in the lower heaven on the earth, and the deliverance was 16,000 million, but they were of grade 24. So Apollo commanded them to be delivered to the nebulous straits of Kapawachikikaka for further development. I remember this word. I got to highlight it. Kapawachikaka. Seriously, I think that's what it say. So Apollo commanded them to be delivered in the nebulous straits of Kapawachikaka for further development. In like manner was the next administration in the lower heaven, but not so on the earth. For the kings and queens carried the idolatry too far, and mortals took to destroying ill-formed children and cripples, thus casting the ills of mortality into heaven. So there was no deliverance for the last stand of Apollo's cycle, and Jehovah received no harvest. Thus ended the cycle of Apollo, being 2,800 years. So after his cycle, so after 2,800 years, a new that cycle ended and a whole nother God took place. But his full cycle was 2,800 years, 2,800 years. All right, y'all. So that was it. Just double check something. Okay, yeah, I think we already read all of these notes already. I was just double checking, make sure I didn't miss any of the numbers or the letter notes. Okay, yeah, we good. All right, so, oh, wait, no, we go back tomorrow, not tomorrow, when we come back, what's that? Tuesday, when we come back Thursday, because the new moon cycle, we'll actually go back to page 95. The book of Apollo is the heavenly account of what was happening simultaneously while the account of everything that was happening was going on earth. So that is the bottom part of Owaspy. And so we'll go back to page 95, the Lord's third book, being contemporaneous with the book of Apollo, son of Jehovah. As the latter book is of heaven, so is the Lord's book of earth for the same period of time, right? And also what's crazy is that the Christians don't understand that part either. And they don't realize they just have the earthly account of everything, the earthly account of the shenanigans of the false gods. They got the worst parts with some truth sprinkled in it, right? The little truth that's sprinkled in it is enough to wake you up and get you going on the right path. We're living witnesses of it. We are, because we came out of it, because we realized this can't be it, can it? Like something is off about this, right? Why is God okay with murdering babies, right? Men, women, okay, but babies, the innocents, how can that be okay? That's when questions start coming up, right? Okay. When you really start rebelling against your teachers and start using your own brain. Okay. No disrespect to anybody. I just like to break people's state. Stephen, what's going on, brother? Yo, shalom. Yes, just me posted. Just got the copy of the Holy Megillah. All right, y'all. So here we go, page 37. Oh, snap. Let me go ahead and put my scrolling banner on. There we go. Fair use disclaimer. All right. Can I take? think I can. Can I take my name off? I guess. I don't know. Show display names. Oh, there we go. Okay. Everybody know who I am by now. All right. We'll need to leave it up there. But we'll let the banner scroll at the bottom. Okay. All right. Chapter 7, page 37. We're in the Nazarene book of Genesis. Abraham and Sarah, the creation of our world. Behold the stars of the heavens. Hidden within each star is a temple of light. For the body of fire of each star is but the outer veil, which we of this world can see. But we cannot see the hidden realm within the star, wherein is the temple, just as no man can see the realm of spirits with earthly eyes. And that is because neither the temple of light nor the realm of the spirits are earthly. Think not that the temple of light is hot, or that the cherubim live in fire. Rather, understand that they live in another realm within the star, which fire cannot touch. And lo, the beauty of the temple of light is such that no man can imagine. And the beings that live there are beautiful, kind, wise, and helpful. Behold, the temple of light within each star is inhabited by cherubim, angelic beings of light. And after cherubim, you have reference number 1. And down at the bottom, 1 says the Hebrew word cherub refers to a class of supernatural beings that serve Jah and Elohim. They are what we would call angelic beings of light, although one is not specifically an angel unless serving as a messenger of Jah or Elohim. The Hebrew word malak, which is translated into English as angel, means messenger. Cherubim is plural for cherub. And go back up, verse 10. And the prince of the cherubim of each star is an Abram, Abram, for he is the high priest of the temple of light and plants the seed of life on new worlds in his dominion. But only Jade and Janah create living souls. And the princess of the cherubim of each star is a Sarah, for she is the high priestess of the temple of light and plants the seeds of life on new worlds in her dominion. And after Sarah is reference number 3. Actually, after Abram is reference number 2. And then after Sarah is reference number 3. So 2, for Abram, it says the Hebrew word Abram means high father. Number 3, the reference for Sarah, the Hebrew word for Sarah means princess. Okay, so let's go back up. Verse 12, I read again. And the princess of the cherubim of each star is a Sarah, for she is the high priestess of the temple of light and plants the seeds of life on new worlds in her dominion. And the worlds that circle a star are in the dominion of that star. And each star is in the dominion of an overseeing star, which is a star that oversees many stars and worlds. Yea, and each overseeing star is itself in the dominion of an even greater overseeing star. And all stars are in the dominion of the great central sun, which is the temple of Elohim. And so when I read through this and I think about the book that I have, it's upstairs. I keep it upstairs when I go to read the book about, matter of fact, not just that one, it's all of them by Matthias Fleury. He said his enlightenment came from the beings who live inside the sun, right? People who sun gaze or whatever. Once they practice it, I know that sounds like that's a bunch of garbage. Like what? You a few cards short of a full deck, aren't you? Right? Beings inside of the sun. A year ago, you couldn't tell me nothing like that. But now that I understand what they're talking about in the different realms of the spirit and everything, I'm like, truly, because they are light, right? To us, it would seem that way, but they are truly light. But that's how a lot of the wisdom in his books, like downloads from the nine, um, sudden understanding, the other couple ones by him. This was how he got the understanding by doing this. You can do a lot of different things to tap into the spiritual realm, and the beings of light are everywhere. It's just we express it in different ways how we understand, right? But it's really, really interesting. And when this began to talk about this, as I was scrolling through, I was like, oh snap. I was like, so dude ain't crazy. I'm like, well, it didn't sound like he was crazy, but ain't too many people I would tell about that. Although I was like, man, this is amazing. I don't know that there's somebody inside the sun though, you know. But everything is starting to make a little bit more sense to me as I go on. Facebook user, shalom, shalom. You gotta put your name. It's probably Mimi or Misha. No, it's probably Nini, Misha, or it could. You know what? That's probably that's got to either be Nini or Misha. It's probably Misha because you got the hearts there. Am I right? Derek, shalom, shalom. Let me go. Let me keep reading. Verse 17. And every Abram and every Sarah are overseers of a dominion, and every overseer answers to the authority of the overseers that have greater dominion. And the authority over all the overseers is Elohim. Lo, the number of stars and overseers is infinite. Yea, the number is too great to count. Wherefore does Elohim depend upon overseers to assist in the great work of Yahweh? Behold, when a star goes to seed at the end of its cycle, the Abram and Sarah of that star, if they have performed their work well, shall ascend to a greater world or star. Lo, they have done well. If many of the children of the worlds they oversee have progressed in the love and wisdom of Jaja and have thereby ascended to higher heavens and realms. No, you're absolutely right. It sounds just like a WASP, don't it? That's what I was telling y'all. Y'all got to get a copy, especially you WASP lovers, and compare. Elijah said, it's Misha. I knew it was Misha. Mom, shalom, shalom. Elijah said, electromagnetic spectrum. Oh, it hopped. Electromagnetic spectrum be going extremely fast to us when it comes to spiritual beings due to the earthly eyes. But when the spiritual eyes are open, you can see them somewhat clearly. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Listen. Verse 23. Lo, they have done well if many of the children of the worlds they oversee have progressed in the love and wisdom of Jah and have thereby ascended to higher heavens and realms. Yea, the stars and worlds are countless. The living beings are countless. The eternity of eternities is unfathomable. The world we live on is but one of countless worlds, some higher in spiritual perfection, some lower. Lo, the story of the creation of our world, the creation, hold on. Lo, the story of the creation of our world follows. Each living world is under the dominion of a temple star, and the prince of the cherubim of each star is an Abram. Lo, the name of the Abram of our son is Abraham, which means father of a multitude. Thus he is called Abraham the Abram, and the princess of the cherubim of each star is a Sarah. And the name of the Sarah of our son is Saara, which means whirlwind. Thus she is called Saara the Sarah. And after Abraham the Abram is reference number 5, and after Saara the Sarah is reference number 6. So reference number 5 at the bottom says, Abraham is his personal name, and Abram is the office he holds. Abraham means father of a multitude. Abram means high father, right? Like the kind of like the what do you call it? The Pope. Well, it's different ones. I just first thought about the Pope. Um, yeah, I mean, shucks, it'll be a title. Pope is the office. Francis is his personal name. Pope Francis. All right. Reference number 6. Saara, S-A apostrophe A-R-A-H. Saara is her personal name, and Sarah is the office she holds. Her name, Saara, literally means whirlwind, but as described in a previous footnote, is the Nazarene term used to describe the spiral dance of Jade and Janah. Thus, this whirlwind is not simply an ordinary whirlwind, but a mystical, creative whirlwind involving the breath of life. Sarah means princess. Also worth noting is the similarity of the Hebrew names Abraham and Saara and the Sanskrit names Brahma and Saravati. Sarasvati. Screwing it up. Okay. What was her name? And it was close to that. What was Brahma's wife's name? It was close to that in Owaspy. We're going to get to that. We ain't got to it again yet, but we're going to get to it. But listen to this. Sarah means princess. Also worth noting is the similarity of the Hebrew names Abraham and Saara and the Sanskrit names Brahma and Sarasvati. In Vedic literature, a Brahma, a solar deity, oversees each solar system, and each Brahma is under dominion of a greater Brahma. And the female consort of Brahma is Sarasvati. Mere coincidence? Probably not. Most likely, the Vedic tradition has preserved many kernels of the more ancient Nazarene tradition, including vegetarianism, reincarnation, and the idea that there is both a god and goddess. So remember, don't let the word reincarnation throw you off before we realize exactly what they're talking about, right? Okay, so just hold on. We're going to get to it. All right. Verse 36. Behold, Abraham and Saara are sweet souls whom had previously pierced the mother ovum and enjoyed a blessed day of play with Jaja in heaven most high. Now they had returned to the mother ovum to serve as hands of mercy under Lord Christ Jade and Lady Christ Janah. And Jade and Janah gave to Abraham and Saara a great work, the planting of a new star seed and the seeds of its heavens and planets and creatures. And though Abraham and Saara would plant and nurture the seeds, lo, only Jade and Janah were to create such seeds. For behold, those of the Luciferian rebellion had begun violating this, and other precepts had thereby spread much evil and pain in many worlds.
Today I'm going to go get my credit card, and also once I get to my 700 mark, I'm going to apply for an auto loan, get a car, and also.
Okay, you know what? This could wait till after this. Like the whole world don't need to hear that.
What they gonna do? These are all just people that want to be better than themselves. I don't gotta worry about them. These are positive people.
Okay. He loves y'all.
Yeah, y'all positive people. Y'all good peoples out here. Ain't no worry with y'all. Love y'all. Love you too, Mama.
Love you too. How you tell them you love them first before you tell me you love me? I'm playing. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go on. Get out of here. You going to the warehouse, right? Okay. Just don't forget to get the paperwork for the sign-offs today. All right. Okay. Verse 41. Yea, Lucifer. Hold on, let me read this last verse again. Verse 40. For behold, those of the Luciferian rebellion had begun violating this and other precepts, and had thereby spread much evil and pain in many worlds. Verse 41. Yea, Lucifer, under the inspiration of Satan, had begun creating his own seeds, not of stars or worlds, for he had not that power, but of evil life forms that he seeded as weeds upon many worlds. Oh, right. We taking it to the shop. Right. I got you. Okay. So, okay, love you. After Satan is reference number 7, and we almost done, y'all. Yeah, it's 105 verses. We're gonna finish reading the chapter, then we're gonna get out of here. But if y'all gotta get to work, go and get to work. I'm recording. You can come back later and watch this. Don't be getting in trouble. All right. So after Satan is reference number 7, and 7 at the bottom says the Hebrew word for Hellel, Helel, has come into English via Latin as Lucifer. Both Hellel and Lucifer mean shining one. Nazarene tradition informs us that Lucifer, Hellel, was formerly a high-ranking cherub who embraced the dark side and became a servant of Satan. The Hebrew word Satan, pronounced Satan, means opponent or adversary and refers to the chief opponent of Jah and Elohim. The ultimate Satan is non-being. The antithesis, The ultimate Satan is non-being, the antithesis of Yah. In that sense, Satan is not merely a personality, but a way that is antithesis of the way of Yahweh. And we learn about that, right? Right. It's like a lower nature, not like necessarily this deity and being that is coming to get you, right? But it's no, you're literally living in darkness. Like you choose to walk in this particular path, in this way that is opposite of the ways of life. It's the antithesis of life, right? The antithesis of Yah, of Creator. Let me go back and read this again. The Hebrew word Satan, pronounced Satan, means opponent or adversary and refers to the chief opponent of Jah and Elohim. The ultimate Satan is non-being, the antithesis of Yah. In that sense, Satan is not merely a personality, but a way that is antithesis to the way of Yahweh. The way of Satan is that which causes consciousness to contract rather than expand. So would we say Christianity, for the most part, I know this is going to sound like, oh my God, no, you just didn't say they were serving Satan. But according to the true definition of it, isn't their consciousness contracted instead of being expanded? It is the absolute opposite, right? I'm just saying, it's something to think about. I'm asking the same questions this girl asking. Of Satan is that which causes consciousness to contract rather than expand. Many personalities serve the dark side, the way of Satan, and one of them is a fallen cherub, Lucifer. But Nazarene tradition makes clear that there has emerged one particular demonic entity, the Dark Lord, who recruited Lucifer, that is so evil that he is referred to as Satan. Thus, ultimately, Satan is a way, but there is also a demonic entity that has emerged as the number one opponent of Yahweh, and is thus called Satan. His goal is to enslave beings and to sustain himself by feeding off of their life force, right? All the worship that Christians are giving, like how long we gotta keep throwing down our crowns? Just keep going. This is all we do all day. We worship. Like you don't realize your misdirected worship is actually keeping you enslaved. I was just saying. Which I don't want to hear it though. His goal is to enslave beings to sustain himself by feeding off their life force. His favorite food is the emotional pain of other beings. He works to create circumstances that lead to emotional pain on many worlds, as that is his way of farming. Thus, he is the king of parasites and is the lord of pain farmers. Ooh. Hold on. We don't have to update our title. King of parasites, Lord of pain farmers. Okay, let's go back up. Verse 41. Yea, Lucifer, under the inspiration of Satan, had begun creating his own seeds, not of stars or worlds, for he had not that power, but of evil life forms that he seeded as weeds upon many worlds. And Abraham and Sarah were righteous and violated not the precepts of our Lord and Lady. Lo, they joyfully and willingly followed the instructions of King Jadeh and Queen Janah, and planted only the seed given to them. Yea, Abraham and Sarah, disciples of the Lord Christ and Lady Christ, were made overseers of the new star we call our sun, and they were given good seed to plant. When Abraham and Sarah came to this realm to assist the great work of Elohim, the realm was bohu, a void, and they chanted the great invocation of Elohim, which is, let there be light. And they planted the star seed, which is the seed of our sun. That makes sense. Are not we invigorated and healed with the sun? We got to let it hit our domes, our head. Think about how it makes us feel, how it literally enlivens us. It activates melanin inside of your body, like all of these things that the sun does. People get depressed when they don't get out in the sun. This is making sense. Listen. When Abraham and Sarah came to this realm to assist the great work of Elohim, the realm was bohu, a void, and they chanted the great invocation of Elohim, which is, let there be light. And they planted the star seed, which was the seed of our sun. As they watched the seed grow, they said, it now emanates spiritual light into this darkness. It is good seed, and the birth of the spiritual light was during the first great day of creation of our world. Then Abraham said to Sarah, now let the spiritual light form a body of light, which will be our temple. Sarah said, yes, I will plant the seed of air. It shall be the breath of life for the body of light. And she planted the seed of air, and the spiritual light emanated a body of fire. Abraham and Sarah said, it is good seed. And that was the second great day of the creation of our world. Then Abraham and Sarah cast into the body of fire the seed of water, so that vapor would come forth from the fire to become clouds, for they knew they would make worlds that would need water. And vapors came forth and formed primal clouds. They said, it is good seed. And that was the third great day of the creation of our world. And as the sun burned and whirled through the air, and the winds swirled, the air and the wind swirled. Okay. And as the sun burned, it whirled through the air, and the winds swirled. And into the wind, Abraham and Sarah cast the seed of soil, and the wind began to form the small particles of soil into large particles. Abraham and Sarah said, this is good seed. And that was the fourth great day of the creation of our world. By the end of the fourth great day, some of the particles had combined to form large spheres. Abraham and Sarah chose the largest spheres to be the planets for this realm, and they chose one sphere to be the planet that would host the first heaven of this realm. Behold, that sphere was our world. Lo, Abraham and Sarah cast the seed of the heavenly formation round our world. Then they cast the same kind of seed into 5 other places between our world and the sun, so that this realm would have 7 heavens. Yea, and the spiral stairway winds its way upward from the first heaven through each heaven unto the 7th heaven, which is the temple of light, hidden within the sun. And behold, the seeds of the heavenly formation sprouted and began to form the heavens. And the heavens were beautiful, but no one can see a heaven except for those who live in that heaven or a higher heaven. Abraham and Sarah said, it is good seed. And the formation of the heavens continued for great duration. For lo, each great day is of great duration, being a cycle of creation, unlike the short days of our world. Let me read that again. Verse 71, I'm going to go back. And behold, the seeds of heavenly formation sprouted and began to form the heavens. And the heavens were beautiful, but no one could see a heaven except for those who live in that heaven or a higher heaven. Abraham and Sarah said, "It is good seed." And the formation of the heavens continued for great duration. For lo, each great day is of great duration, being a cycle of creation, unlike the short days of our world. And clearly we know by now that when you read in Genesis, on the first day God created this, and on day two, and we understand now that those are not like our days, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those days were periods of time, right? Because think about the growth that had to happen with the development of the seeds into trees. They didn't gonna happen like in the 24-hour period. So common sense would tell us, even though they put it there like this day one, like it was a straight week, those of us who are a little bit more mature in our understanding, we understand that those days were actually cycles of time, right? And if you get outside of the Bible, like in some of the books of the Apocrypha, it'll actually begin to explain that as well, right? But some people are confounded to the Bible only, and they think it's noble, it's bondage. Okay. And the formation of the heavens continued for great duration. For lo, each great day is of great duration, being a cycle of creation, unlike the short days of our world. And that was the fifth great day of the creation of our world. Then Abraham and Sarah opened the soul pathways of the 12 constellations so that the souls of many living entities could pass into this realm to have birth on our world. Behold, each species of plant and animal, even humankind, is within a group ovum. So if you ever studied the constellations and looked at birth charts, right, this will help you understand why when we look at people, you got groups of different people with the same sun signs. You got all Geminis act like they got split personalities, and the different ones, right? All 12 of them. And I began to look into that a little bit last year. I got all kinds of references. I'd even run birth charts on every single family member in my household, my grandchildren, my mama, my sisters, my nieces and nephews, and I got records and stuff. And I'm just kind of going through looking at this. I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. That was just for like my family. But then I began to look at the greater group of people and how that's how they do personality tests, right? The different types of personalities, that's how they can be spot on about different people, right? Because the birth charts are nothing more. It literally gives you it's literally timestamps from when you came into the world and what was happening in our universe, right? So it's literally the time you passed in here. This was going on at this time, and they tell you the sun was here, the moon was there, these stars you came in, which is also why to get an accurate one, you need the actual time and location where you were born at as well. All of this makes sense as you begin to study it. If you study it apart from other things, it may not really make a lot of sense. But in the light of everything else, with all that we're learning and that information that I learned, I'm like, oh snap, it's missing pieces of the puzzle, right? And if you're in Christianity, they tell you to stay away from the horoscopes and stuff. It's of the devil. Bro, it's gonna keep you dumb and dumber, because it's a big piece of the missing. It's a big piece of the puzzle that's missing that you need to understand, right? um but this explains, and clearly this is going to get into this, or shed just a little bit of light on this. This is going to help us understand why all Geminis act alike, or all Leos, or all Tauruses, they act alike. They got the same type of attitude, and it's like, why is that? It's nothing magical. It's literally a science on why they act this way. Like seriously, some may be they like there'll be like a even kill between their sun and moon sign or whatever, or they could, and depending on how far into the month they were born, they like Aries could be more of what comes after Aries or before? or say a Pisces could be more, I don't forget what I'm trying to say. But anyway, if you're more to like the end of the month, you may have more characteristics of that next sun sign because of how close you are. And during that time period, this is where these kind of seasons was being dropped on these people. So you got sprinkled with some of that too, right? Love me some Geminis. I'm married to one. My two oldest sons are Geminis, right? All three of them. Put all three of them in the room together. OMG, right? And would you believe this? I am the only Aries in my family. Not only in this family, but my siblings, my aunts and uncles. And I thought that was amazing in itself. I'm like, we got to be missing somebody. There has to be somebody else that's an Aries in my entire family. Somebody. I haven't found them yet. Right. I'm looking at my aunts and uncles, their birthdays and their children's birthdays. And I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if that means something, but I don't know. But based on Aries, they're kind of like fire starters. They know how to start things real good. They just got a problem with carrying it out, right? Which makes us awesome delegators. We can start stuff, we on fire, right? But we need people to come along beside us to help us carry out these amazing, awesome plans that we have, right? Because everybody, that's how when you're running a company, if you understand the personalities of your people and put the right people in the right place, you will have a friggin' amazing company. Like nobody be able to stop y'all because the leader understands the people and got the right people in the right places, right? We don't need the cook being a janitor. Sis, you can throw down in the kitchen. This is where we need you. But Sister Betty love clean. Like she's awesome. Like she gets in there. Like she leaves nothing unturned. Ain't a bit of dust. She sleeps in her white gloves, gets up. Okay. All right. That passed, right? We need the right people in the right places. And just think about it here in life as well. Like, seriously, if we operated in that type of understanding everywhere we went, even in the school systems, all kids don't learn the same way, right? I can sit and listen to a teacher lecture for hours on end, right? Which is probably why I can talk for hours on end because that's my style. Like, I love it. Growing up, I was the child watching infomercials all night long, and I love them. Like, y'all will get it. Like, y'all have to get this because that in itself is a revelation and it is a it is a game changer when you understand that and you begin to apply it in every area of your life, right? Even understanding the personalities of your children. Oh, well, okay. Let's finish reading this because we passed our time a little bit today on this Tuesday. Listen, okay. Verse 76, page 42. Then Abraham and Sarah opened the soul pathways of the 12 constellations so that the souls of many living entities could pass into this realm to have birth on our world. Behold, each species of plant and animal, even humankind, is within a group ovum. I'm within the Aries group ovum, right? And each soul also becomes a member of the group ovum that most matches its own thoughts, words, and deeds. And each soul is also within its own individual ovum. Lo, from each group ovum, Abraham and Sarah chose two souls to be the first of each species to awaken upon our world. And they gathered these souls and placed them in bodies but made them sleep until the tree of life was planted in the garden. Then Abraham and Sarah placed the sleeping bodies in the area that would be the Garden of Eden, which would be the birth garden. And after Garden of Eden is reference number 8. And 8 at the bottom says, the Hebrew word Eden means delight or paradise. Okay, verse 83. And the garden was in the center of the most fertile part of the world, which was the land of Cush. And after Cush is reference number 9. Reference number 9 at the bottom says, the Hebrew word Cush, pronounced Kush, refer Koosh, Kush. Okay, I said Cush. The Hebrew word Cush, pronounced Cush, refers to the land now called Ethiopia. Though scholars know that the word Cush refers to ancient Ethiopia, the meaning of the word itself is unknown. According to the Nazarene tradition, the name Cush was chosen by Abraham and Sarah because in the tongue of the cherubim it means hidden power, which is the power of Elohim. All right, back up to verse 84. Yea, Abraham and Sarah named this land Cush because in the tongue of the cherubim, that word means hidden power, which is the power of Elohim. For Elohim wills power not with swords and spears. Behold, Elohim wages spiritual warfare with spiritual weapons. And though it may appear that Elohim is defeated in a battle, good always triumphs over evil in the end. And that is the mystery of the hidden power, which is Cush. Yea, at the center of Cush would be the Garden of Eden, the birth garden, once the seed of the tree of life was planted. And in the center of the garden was a holy mountain. Lo, atop that holy mountain, Abraham and Sarah would plant the holy tree of life, and only then would the dormant bodies awaken. Lo, the time from the opening of the soul pathways of the 12 constellations to the time of the gathering of the dormant bodies was the sixth great day of the creation of our world. Abraham said to Sarah, before we plant the seed of the holy tree of life, let us spend the seventh day in prayer and communion with Elohim and Jah, our God and Goddess immanent and transcendent. Yea, and then on the evening of the seventh day, after the sun is set, we will plant the holy seed. Then will all the dormant things spring to life, and this area will become a garden of delight. Thus, the seventh day of the creation of our world was a day of prayer and communion, which is Shabbat Shalom. And after Shabbat Shalom is reference number 10. And 10 at the bottom says, the Hebrew word Shabbat, Sabbath, is usually defined as rest, but is certainly related to the Hebrew word Shabbat, which means seven. This type of rest is that which occurs when we enter into communion with Yah. The Hebrew word Shalom means peace. Thus, the term Shabbat Shalom literally means Sabbath peace, and refers to the seventh day of the week, a day that was dedicated to spiritual activities. Verse 97, behold, during their time of communion with Elohim and Jah, Abraham and Sarah were shown many visions of what would come. And Elohim whispered in their hearts and minds the things that they must do, for the agents of Satan were coming to do them violence. For lo, Satan wanted this new world for his own purposes, and he had sent his servant Lucifer to prevent the planting of the tree of life and to plant instead another seed. On the evening of the seventh day, having held Shabbat, Abraham and Sarah made ready to plant the holy seed of the tree of life in the center of the Garden of Eden. Abraham held the holy seed in his bag of seed, and Sarah held fertile soil in her bowl of germination. Abraham, high priest of the temple of light, which is, I'm sorry, Abraham, high priest of the temple of light, which temple is within the sun, raised up his staff and recited the words of prayer and invocation for the planting of the holy seed. And Sarah, high priestess of the temple of light, which temple is within the sun, raised up her bowl and recited the words of prayer and invocation. Then Abraham planted the seed of the tree of life in Sarah's bowl. But behold, before Sarah had germinated the seed in her bowl, yea, before she had opened her bag of water and moved the seed from her bowl to the garden where it would grow tall, the agents of Satan attacked. And that is where we're going to pause today, my beautiful people. That was good. And so tomorrow we're going to get into a little bit more detail in chapter 8. and it's entitled Lucifer Attacks the Garden of Eden. Audrey said, wait, so was there more than just two people that they placed in the garden, since it said they chose two souls from each ovum in its 12 constellations? Yeah, it's definitely more than two. Like, even as we read through a Watchmen, as we think about this, it's definitely more than two. Matter of fact, when you get outside of the Bible into the Apocrypha, when you get into Jubilees, I think it is, even Jubilees chapter 2 or 3 lets you know that they were more than just two people. Right? It's definitely more than two people. But yeah. So it's get interesting. It's going to start explaining this. If you haven't, look, shucks, if you haven't read Jubilees, go read it or listen to it. It's on YouTube. You can just put in Book of Jubilees and just listen to it. They got a lot of people reading all this stuff now. So, but yeah, go check it out. But this is getting interesting as the days go on, right? We add to our learning and our understanding. All right, y'all. So today it is Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, day 2 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,385. Today we read in Owaspy, the last 2 chapters of the Book of Apollo, Son of Jehovah, chapter 14 and 15, and that was pages 108 to 109. And then we hopped over here to the Holy Megillah, also known as the Secret Nazarite Scroll, and we read chapter 7 in the Nazarene book of Genesis, and that was pages 37 to 44. Now, Father, we thank you not only that you are unlimited intelligence, we thank you that you have created us to be vehicles of infinite intelligence that can develop. I love it. Okay. Yes, race of Adam and Eve in Owaspy. Right, Elijah. Right, we talked about that. We're about to observe the Sabbath day, and they just talked about it. I know, right? You can't make this type of stuff up. Like, as we read, we begin to notice different things in the days happen and line up with what we're reading, right? That's just icing on the top of our cake. And who doesn't like to eat cake with icing? Well, depending on what type of icing, then I would scratch the icing off and just eat the cake. You know, because there is some icing that actually burns my lips. And I'm like, this cannot be for human consumption. Something is wrong with this. Or I might be allergic to something in it. But if I eat cake, it has to be like a whipped icing. Anything else that's like heavy sitting on top of the cake, first of all, it's disgusting. And it don't taste good. It tastes like a bunch of lard and just thick grease that you got to bite into its blood. I can only eat whipped icing. But anyway, with that being said, beautiful people, thank y'all for hanging out. I will see y'all back here Thursday morning. Remember, we're observing the Sabbath tomorrow for this moon cycle. For those of you that don't understand, thinking Sabbath is Friday or Saturday, we're just growing in our understanding of things a little bit more. We're keeping the Sabbath according to the clock in the sky, right? And as you learn about it, just adjust, right? You ain't gonna go to hell because you celebrating on the wrong day. Because for most of my life, I celebrated Sabbath on Sunday because I was a good Christian girl, right? That's what I thought the Sabbath truly was, until I started asking questions when I got tired of the church shenanigans, you know. All right, y'all. So with that being said, yes, peace and blessings, beloved family. May Creator, the ever-present, be with you all. I love y'all, and I will see y'all back here Thursday morning, bright and early. Peace.